You mentioned last night, sense of ownership you feel with this franchise. Have you given thought to what kind of role you would like to have with this organization? Something, if there's something formal going forward?
I don't know. I haven't given it much thought. I haven't given it much thought. I'm not even sure what the actual options are. I don't see myself in the roles that I know exist now, if you will. I'm just like throwing out titles. These roles are already filled, so I'm not talking about, but like there's coaching, there's GMing, there's things like that. I don't know that a traditional role is really where I would see myself anyways in any organization. So I don't really even know like what the options are in terms of how to stay involved, but I feel like if that's what both sides want, we can figure something out.
Hey Sue,
Hi.
what did you do last night after the game?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Just
Chilled.
kicked it. Yeah. Just kicked it.
Just to go back in terms of your role, have you thought about a global role? I mean, because you're non-traditional, you know what I mean? Just basketball ambassadors, whatever that would.
Yeah. No, I haven't thought about much at all, to be honest. I know I'll stay involved, obviously, and I've already said some of this, whether it's some of the things that I already have set up and that are in place, like having Together and the work they're doing, that's in its own way a global ambassador, right? Being able to, share people's stories and work in that way. I have like my own little brand. I hate saying that, but it's like I have my own little lane over here where, I can, and the one that I keep coming back to is the Peyton's Places that I'm going to be doing this year. Just because that one's kind of like already said, it's already been announced, so I can talk about it. Stuff like that, for me to get involved and kind of both explore things in myself and what maybe I want to do as just like as a human, but also it's going to be about basketball. So there's ways in which I'll be able to talk about that. And there's all kinds of stuff that's being set up and is kind of in the works. I already have a position on the board at USA Basketball. It's almost a shame that the World Cup is happening so fast, because I could have foreseen myself going as some sort of, you said the word ambassador, so I'll use it. It just feels too soon to like be traveling, but yeah. So I think it's a big TBD. That's really the answer. But the good news is that there are things that are kind of already in motion, and we'll just see how it all plays out. And I feel really lucky that I don't have to rush into anything. There's no pressure to do anything. So I feel good about that.
On that note, when you woke up, when your eyes opened up today and you woke up,
I was like, oh, I have such a headache.
Well, yeah, what was that after the headache thought and no
the
practice?
Headache didn't die. It's still going. I truly don't think the idea that I'm retired from the game, like the actual game of basketball, is going to sink in for a little bit. Because this is always what it feels like at the end of a season. It always feels abrupt. It always feels like, oh, I don't have practice today. That's always how it feels. So it might take, who knows, weeks, months. Maybe it'll be, a scenario where, okay, usually I start working out now. Susan's not texting me, telling me what to do. This is different. And part of me is like, maybe it doesn't happen for months, because the WNBA, once this WNBA season ends, it's usually, we don't have to think about it till April. Obviously, I'm preparing for it, but you're not actually thinking about it. So I don't know. I'm not really sure yet. Nothing has hit me this morning.
What does that time off right now look for you to kind of recoup, gather yourself before you dive into all of these endeavors? Yeah,
honestly, just hanging out. I know it sounds kind of wild. I think, part of it is I think part of it is like, this is what typically happens when the season ends. It's not like I go on a vacation right away. That never works out. You can't really plan it. Obviously, as you're going through a season, you don't know when it's going to end. There are some things that I do want to do, like visit some people, see my family, see my friends. So that is there. But I mean, I literally might go home and for the next like 2 weeks, maybe clean out my closet. I don't know, get to do things around the house that I've been putting off for a while. That might be the answer. And I'm okay with that, again, because I have these things set up and they're not immediate, but they're in the next, couple months or so. I feel like okay, just chilling, it doesn't stress me out.
You really received all of your flowers this year. That farewell tour was well-deserved and incredible. Did the season feel the way you felt it was going to when you made that announcement? And then do you have a highlight on court that you're going to think back to? I'll never forget this moment, whether that be that 3-shot or any other moments.
Yeah, the farewell tour was amazing. You know, I didn't know what I was getting into or anticipate what it was going to be like, but, you know, couldn't have asked for a better send-off. Just all the love, obviously here in Seattle, but, you know, even on the road, just seeing the turnout, seeing the different, you know, whether it's like people wearing my jersey or people wearing t-shirts or people having my shoe or people making signs, just all of the above. It was incredible. And I'm really glad that I did that. I wasn't sure that I wanted to. And now it's like, I can't imagine. I think some of the standout moments are, you know, the game in New York. I'll kind of go chronologically. The game in New York, my final home game in Seattle. I think those two are probably the ones that stand out. You know, I'd like to say the three I hit in game 3. Really could have been a storybook, huh? Yeah, but you know, we didn't win that game, so it's like, what does it really mean? And last but not least, again, like, even though last night was the end of the season and we didn't end with a trophy, it still was incredible to have that happen on our home court. You know, I thought about it at some point last night. It's like, oh, I would have loved to have played in a game 5. Absolutely. To have a chance to go to the finals. I'm not saying I'd prefer to lose at home, but was there something nice about having that happen on our home court? Yeah, there was.
For more local news coverage, live and on demand, watch King 5 Plus. Download free on Roku and Fire TV.